Thank you. Good evening. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow. Will you please rise with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. As many of you know, we use this opportunity in our regular board meetings to remember those members of our community who've passed away since our last meeting. And since our last meeting, we've lost Patricia Selden at the age of 79 of Kendall Way, Anna Gilroy, the age of 89, also of Kendall, and Brian Acosta at the age of 22. Brian lived on Clinton Street. Our thoughts are with their families and with their friends. Thank you. Please be seated. We're going to begin the evening with a public hearing, which was properly noticed. I'll ask the clerk to please read the notice of public hearing.
Sure. Please take notice, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow has called for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, November 30th at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter at Village Hall, 28 Beekman Avenue in Sleepy Hollow, New York, to hear and consider comments from members of the public on the proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 385 in the Code of the Village of Sleepy Hollow entitled Trees, by deleting the same in full and adopting a replacement. The draft proposal is available on the village's website at www.sleepyhollowny.gov or in the village clerk's office at 28 Beekman Avenue in Sleepy Hollow, New York. Residents and taxpayers of the village of Sleepy Hollow are entitled to attend and be heard at said hearing. Village Hall is accessible to all disabled persons by order of the Board of Trustees, November 9th, 2021.
Thank you. We will begin by asking for comments. Actually, before I ask for comments from those here this evening, I just wanted to note a couple of things. One was the idea behind this revision is to change the emphasis on how the village views trees in both on private property and on perhaps even more importantly, on property that is owned by the village. And that is to change our sense of how we care for these, how we steward the trees that are within the village of Sleepy Hollow, and to change our emphasis of one that has largely been reactive over the years to one that is proactive, the one that looks more at how do we manage the trees and how do we properly take care of the trees that we have. And I believe that that is a strength of this proposed revision. I also want to note that I received written comments a few days ago from Shelley Robinson, who's a current member of the Tree Commission, and perhaps one other set of comments that may have come in the package that I received from Shelley, might be from somebody else, but I have both of those, or if it's a single set, all of them included in the record. I think they were intended to be part of the public record. They've been distributed to the Board of Trustees as well, and I will do that unless you ask me not to. I'll take that as a yes. Okay. All right. We'll open it up to comments from the public on the matter of the public hearing. If you wish to address the board, you may do so now. And if you do, please use the microphone that will be hanging over your head in the middle of the room. And while we're waiting to see if there are public comments, Ms. Robinson, yeah, just step forward a little. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I take on my mask.
Yes, you may. I'm sorry, let me just say this. Before you do that, so we don't out anybody, our rule is if you have been vaccinated, you may take off your mask. If you have not, please continue to wear it. If you choose to continue to wear it, of course, please do so. Is that clear? Terry, you look, okay, all right. So you may choose, even though you've been vaccinated, to wear a mask. That's your personal choice. Thank you. Shelley. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. My name is Shelley Robinson. I live at 4015 Kendall Way. I've lived in a village for 50 years. First, I'd like to thank you board members. You work hard. I know you do, and we appreciate it. And tonight, this is not personal to anyone, but it's my passion. I'm here to save the baby from being thrown out with the bathwater. We the people, does that remind you of anything in particular? When we amend the Constitution of the United States, the law of the land, we don't throw out the preamble. We retain the preamble, the guiding principles that stand as foundations of our beliefs, and we retain all the amendments that we made in the past, even the original language. So you, our trusted lawmakers, get to fix things that aren't working right and leave the rest alone. I'm here tonight to point out 3 small changes that will serve to fix what's not working well in the present tree code and save future boards the problems that this proposed abbreviated, ambiguous new tree ordinance will bring to future generations dealing with climate change. And I believe it should be climate emergency. What exactly would we lose besides history itself if we throw away the tree code? The first guiding principle that disappears in the revision is the clear statement in section 385.1, scope and declaration of policy, which gives the village jurisdiction clearly over trees on private property as well as trees in public property. This would be like leaving private property out of the zoning code. The second principle that this revision eliminates is the checks and balances of the current tree removal permit process. In the revision, the tree officer is given sole responsibility to evaluate trees for removal and for issuing tree removal permits, a job presently shared by the Tree Commission, the Building Department, and the Planning Board. Why is this a problem? Nowhere in the revision is the tree officer defined. What are the fields of expertise, the qualifications, the years of experience, employment status, or possible conflicts of interest, such as an affiliation with a tree company doing business in the village. The catch-all term, arborist, does not necessarily translate as caretaker of trees. I'll show you my image of an arborist. This is an arborist, and this is an arborist. Finally, this is the revision removes the planning board from the hearing process when permits and disputes arise, leaving no village government oversight. In fact, it would cost the village money from paying for attorney's fees. How did this happen? How did this confusion come about in the present code, where the tree officer is introduced in 2004, and then again in 2013, when the board hastily tried to amend the tree code to lessen the job of the tree commission and have the tree officer do most of the work. The revision stopped halfway after section 8 in our present code. There is no more a mention of the tree officer. The tree officer disappears and the tree commission is simply because they didn't finish the process. I'm suggesting 3 steps, preserving our tree code as is. And the main problem has been that we haven't followed the tree code. And I'm part of that problem. 1, restructure the tree commission. Create a 5-member body consisting of 2 village residents, 2 EAC, Environmental Advisory Committee members, and 1 planning board member. Establish regular monthly meetings of the tree commission with an agenda and doing all the things that Mayor Ray said we are focusing on: planting, managing, not only disputes and taking down trees, but planting. Annual report, comprehensive plan, and keeping up our tree inventory. Most important, define the job of the tree officer. We all think this is a good idea. Arborist certification. You can get an arborist certification by taking a 2-day course online. This is not what we need in our tree officer. At least 3 years experience in tree management. No affiliation with a tree company working in the village. References. Not a DPW member who does this as a regular job. This is a special consultant position. I'm most concerned about the tree officer, and I don't know if you have someone or some candidates in mind. I would be interested to know that. My other main concern is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Tossing years of language to protect our trees. The planting and maintenance of trees have direct relationship on the health, safety, beauty, and welfare of our community, inasmuch as trees provide shade, reduce the need for air conditioning, etc. These words are also in our new code, but in a different language that came directly from the Greenberg tree ordinance. But Greenberg went ahead, their ordinance is very detailed, and we do not copy the important things. We took some of the big words from their ordinance and didn't follow through with who does this, how do you do it? So our code, our new code is empty, it's a shell. Why do we give up our beautiful preamble? So those are my comments. And I hope you've read my packet. That one in the envelope was also from me. And I'd be happy to hear any comments you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else, thank you for the clarification on that other, that also was distributed. Anyone else like to address the board on the matter of the public hearing? While you're thinking about that, anybody in the board have any comments at this time?
Mayor, I would just echo what you said. I think the adjustments to the code as proposed are the right move at this time. I think adding a new resource to the tree officer is the right move. And I am much in favor of focusing more on trees on public property than on the private property.
We will still, of course, focus on private property, but I think we've done not the best job on our stewardship of the trees on public property, and I would really like to see us take on a better role there. And I'd like to see Mr. Smith embrace that as well. Before we add an arborist to our part-time staff or a consultant as an arborist, and certainly afterwards as well, we could do a much better job of taking care of what we already have. If there's no other comments from the board or the public at this time, what's your preference? Keep the public as is our... Yes, ma'am.
Ann White of Kendall Way. I'm really pleased by the shift in context to deal with the trees as a resource that the village and the village as a steward of the trees. And there are many elements in this. I think doing the tree inventory is really important, and I'm delighted that that is being done. The thing that concerns me about this new version is that it seems as if all the teeth have been taken out of it. At the end of the previous tree ordinance, there's a section called penalties for offense. And unfortunately, those penalties don't seem to stop people from cutting down trees with no permission, with no permit. Even the being fined up to $2,000. But to have nothing about what is to happen to somebody if they cut down trees without getting permission. And for many people, unfortunately, owning private property that they bought where they want to build a new house, they consider it easier and not too onerous just to go ahead and cut the trees that they want to cut without, and I fear that with no penalty mentioned at all in the new ordinance, that this will just get worse. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I am really concerned about this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else care to address the board on the matter of the public hearing? I will note that the proposed revision does say that if someone gets site plan approval from the planning board, that involves the removal of trees, the removal of those trees is permitted. So if somebody's building a new house, for example, on a vacant piece of property, then they need to remove the trees in order to put up that house, they will be allowed to do so as long as they get a site permit, get a permit from the planning board. It's fairly explicit, and we will explore with council the penalties that were mentioned as well. One point I would like to make, and that is in my own experience of hearing appeals from people who were denied a permit to take down a tree on their property, that I heard multiple appeals from people saying, I was denied a permit to take down this tree. The roots of this tree are damaging the foundation of my home. And the tree commission at the time said, no, you can't take down the tree. This is a perfectly healthy tree. There's nothing wrong with it. Which was true, but it was destroying the foundation or beginning to destroy the foundation of their home. And when the board that I was on at the time, the trustees approved the permit upon appeal, because we said we should not require somebody to maintain a tree on their property when it's destroying the foundation of their home. What this does is say if it's within a certain proximity to your home, and it's of a certain size, you will get approval. You shall get approval from the tree officer. You still need to come to the tree officer and say you want to remove it, and the tree officer will check to see if it's of a significant size or is close to your home or both, but you will be able to do it. We wanted to avoid that kind of thing in the future. The tree commission was very adamant about protecting the trees first, laudatory in many ways, but we felt that needed to be tempered with protection of people's property, their other property in addition to the trees that were on their property. And so one of the things that we're trying to do here is to say, you're not going to lose your house because of the tree. We are going to go ahead and say, under these specific circumstances, you can take down the tree. So there's still a permitting process. There is a process where permits are not required, but under those specific examples. And that is trying to, and hopefully will fix a particular problem that I think it's a problem, and that one that we shouldn't have to deal with. There is an appeals process as well that's spelled out in here for people who are denied a permit. So that is something that is still an opportunity, folks. But as I said at the beginning, I think what we really want to do here is be proactive, be stewards of the trees that exist, that live within the village of Sleepy Hollow, and turn our focus away from this reactive to one that's very proactive and saying, which we are not doing right now, and saying, what are we doing to protect the trees? What are we doing to maintain the trees? What are we doing to make sure that they continue to grow in a healthy way throughout the village? And I think that is the major point of this revision. Unless there are further comments from the public or comments from the board, I would ask that we follow our usual procedure, which is to adjourn this public hearing until next week. During that time, we will, of course, any comments that are submitted to the board, either via email or the mail or dropped off in person, will be distributed to the entire board, and we will review those, as well as your comments from this evening. And we will pick up the public hearing next Tuesday evening. Counselor, do I need a...
Do you plan to accept oral comments next week?
I would leave it open.
Oh,
That's what I would do if it's the... And I think I have consensus on the board.
no problem.
So just adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing is adjourned until at or around 7 p.m. Tuesday, December 2nd. 7th. Correct. Thank you. So December 7th, and we look forward to seeing you folks then. All right, our next item of business is we have a warrant, a big one, that's distributed earlier to the board in the amount of $1,138,533.66. It includes several large, no, not several, there's one really large item. I'll ask the treasurer to explain why is this one so big.
There actually were four, Mr. Mayor, that totaled $619,298.21.
I thought there were several insurance payments and water bills and so on, and
Yep.
I'm just not seeing it on my cover sheet here.
Yeah, they're lumped together in the warrant number of $898,000. But there was a Navistar 10-wheel dump truck with spreader. That was $231,625.57.
Mr. Smith, you're supposed to smile, that's your capital.
Yes, he was smiling. There was our nice ship health insurance for December, $210,105.89. And then there was our third quarter liability insurance payment for $92,528.71. And our water payment for September in the amount of $85,038.04.
Okay. And that gets it down to a more normal number,
That'd be about 500,000.
still larger than
That's
usual.
about right.
Yeah. Questions, additional questions, because I know the board's had an opportunity to reach out to treasurer before this. Any additional questions for the treasurer at this time? Can I get a motion to approve the warrant?
Yeah. Move to approve the warrant of 30th of November.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? The warrant is approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next up, we have two sets of minutes, which were also distributed earlier. The minutes of November 9th and November 16th. We'll take the minutes of November 9th first. Any amendments or edits or any changes needed?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 9th, 2021.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions?
Abstain.
Please note the abstention for the record. We also have the minutes, as I said, of November 16th. Any changes or edits to the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 16th. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
Abstain.
Please note the abstention for the record as well, and the minutes are approved. I have a couple announcements. First up, it is always, I think, helpful to remind our community that we have a volunteer fire department. That means that we get, the village supplies equipment to a group of highly trained, specialized volunteers who provide firefighting services for the village of Sleepy Hollow and firefighting services for neighboring municipalities for better than 100 years, probably 125 years. There's been a concept called mutual aid that fire departments, fire companies throughout our area and probably throughout the country have engaged in, and that is that they help out one another. If there's a blaze that's too big for one village or municipality to take care of, the neighboring folks come in with their equipment and help out. If there is a disaster, and such as September 11th, where a number of fire companies were wiped out responding to the World Trade Center bombing, to that terrorist attack. A number of fire companies lost all of their equipment, and more importantly, all of their firefighters. And fire companies from our entire region responded by sending our volunteers, other folks' volunteers, down to man those firehouses until they could be restaffed by the city to be there in that emergency. Just recently, on Thanksgiving, very recently, there was a fire in our neighboring, the hamlet, a neighbor of ours, the hamlet of Thornwood, that unfortunately cost the life of a firefighter. One of the Thornwood firefighters. It was actually in his home, and he was a victim of that fire. Our firefighters responded and manned the firehouse throughout the day on Thanksgiving so that the Thornwood folks could properly mourn their lost brother, and also to be there in case there was another fire. So while we were all enjoying our families and a meal, hopefully, our folks were out there doing what they do really well. And I want to name the firefighters who were there. And that begins with our officers, Chief John Corzelius, Assistant Chief Billy Ryan, and Assistant Chief Stephen Ben Cosme. They were joined by firefighters Eshuel Juarez, Anthony Aguirre, Wilfredo Gonzalez, Uriel Hilario, Victor Tolentino, and Captain Angela Martello. So thanks to all of them for doing what you do every day, but particularly on that day. I also want to note that COVID-19 is still with us. Folks should continue to be careful. And to me, being careful means if you're not vaccinated, don't be stupid, get vaccinated. And get vaccinated the second time. Take the booster if you haven't done that yet either. Everything we know so far says that that's the best way to protect yourself and to help protect people around you as well. Just a quick anecdote, I ran into a guy in the dog park. I have no idea what his name is, but I've known him for a couple of years, but his dog's name is Homer. Since I've left, and Homer is a basset that's about that big and has a voice like a whale. I mean, it's amazing. And he'd had COVID since I last seen him, and he said his doctor had told him if he hadn't been vaccinated, he would be dead. So it's not that you can't get it, but it does protect you if you do. So please get out there and get vaccinated if you haven't done this already, and follow other good safety rules as well. We'll be reviewing our rules for meetings such as this one, as we move forward. Our numbers in the village have edged up. We were down safely in single digits for several weeks, meaning the number of active cases in Sleepy Hollow, active cases being defined as people who are positive, who tested positive within the last 14 days, is crept back up again, and it's 10, and it's 15, and it's 12. It's been in that range for a month or so now. It hasn't really gone up from that, goes down and kind of comes up, but it stayed around there. So we're looking forward to the point when we don't have any active cases, obviously. So we all need to continue to be on our guard and do what we can to help make this thing go away and keep all of us safe. So I thank you for your cooperation in that. We all thank you, your neighbors thank you for that. We're going to move on now to department reports, and we're going to start with Mr. Smith. That's, don't flinch, Clinton, it's the other Mr. Smith.
I've been nervous every time you said Mr. Smith.
Me too.
We will not ask you anything about DPW, and we will not ask your legal advice.
I know somebody. Mayor, Board of Trustees, as you know, snow season is right upon us. It's cold out there. We have our fleet ready with plows and spreaders. We received, you heard, we received our new 10-wheel dump truck. That's got a wing plow and spreader on it, ready to go. Yeah, our whole fleet is complete. A few weeks ago, we repaired a storm drain that runs behind 142 Hunter Street, and it runs behind a few houses and then it goes back out into the street. There were 2 sections of concrete that collapsed, causing sinkholes. We had to dig by hand and repair those. And that's done. The guys did a really nice job out there because there was a lot of digging. There was a tree that fell across the Mechanical River at DeVries Park during a windstorm a few weeks ago that we were able to remove. The 30-inch water main coming from grasslands that goes under 9A is now being utilized. It's on and everything is good.
Mr. Smith, that's where all that construction was out by 9,
Yeah,
9A.
there was an existing 30-inch water main that came down that they are bypassing that area, but they're leaving both in for now. The hydrant flushing was successful. We identified a couple of hydrants with issues that have been repaired. We replaced one leaking hydrant on the Peister. We were painting hydrants when the weather was warmer. We did all the hydrants on Beekman. I'm sure everybody noticed. They look beautiful. We're going to continue
I'm
the
sorry,
spring.
I just can't help it, but only a DPW would think a fire hydrant was beautiful.
Now if you take a walk, you're going to notice, wow. You notice if it's cracked and ugly. And
That is
So,
true. That is true.
We planted 20 trees around the village since last month. There's also new trees that are going to be in the sidewalk that they're doing right now. We removed the benches and bike racks for the sidewalk that's being done in front of Moore School. The benches will go back eventually. We assisted Parks in breaking down and removing playground equipment at Sykes Park. They're getting new playground equipment there. All the decorative lights have been put up within the last week. We're in, hopefully towards the end of leaf season. There are a lot of leaves out there. We've had 2 crews for 4 days a week for the past 4 weeks picking up leaves throughout the village. I'm continuing to work with Sage and Coombs on the new DPW facility concept. And just a reminder to everybody that starting in January, bulk pickup is going to be the second pickup of every week, Thursday for Route A and Friday for Route B. And that's all.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Smith?
I have one in regards to the work being done in front of Moore's. And you were talking about how the benches and the, I guess the bikes are going to go back?
Bike racks.
The bike racks. What about the planters?
We have the planters, but
Are
we're
they
going to
being
get different
changed,
ones.
or are they going to,
So-
because they seem...
So I was informed by Ichabod's Landing that they're going to donate all of their planters to the village. So I'm not sure if those are suitable, but they are actually pretty nice, so we might be able to use those.
Okay,
Um,
but we will not continue to keep those?
We plan
one
on
that
putting
we-
nice planters out there. We don't know what
Okay.
they are, what's gonna go there yet. The ones that are there are, besides some people didn't like the look of them, they're old now, and we really shouldn't put those back out there.
I didn't know if maybe they might be too big. Also, I would
Yeah,
just
we're
take a
gonna-
look at how we want to fill it, because it seems like it takes off an awful lot, which then,
Why don't we-
just the management of what that was. I was kind of curious. And then also the bike racks too are going back? Are they more decorative?
Bike racks, I believe, are going back, and not as many benches are going back, I believe.
Okay.
So
We'll-
we can
we'll see.
follow
You're
up,
looking at-
Yeah.
Yesterday? Oh, okay,
So
and we
one
can
of-
follow up
I
in a work
didn't know, I'm
session
just-
next week
okay.
One
on
of
the
the things
details.
that happened was, after we had done the design, we had a request for more trees, especially in front of Morris. So we've kind of pivoted, and we're gonna be planting 4 trees in front of Morris on the sidewalk. Because it's gonna take up the width of the sidewalk in those areas, we're gonna leave the benches out, because the benches and the tree would make it tighter. So we also noticed that there's 9 benches, which we think is excessive, and we're getting loitering, and we're having some
Mhm.
complaints. So we're probably gonna put 4 or 5 back, not 9,
Okay.
strategically placed.
Okay.
And do us, thank you. And I'll review that as well. Thank you for that. And then you mentioned with the sinkholes, have we identified all the sinkholes within the village, and how are we doing against those? Are there any that we have that
We've
aren't?
had that, anything that's been reported to us, we've we've,
Fixed.
we've repaired.
So we have nothing outstanding on
And-
sinkholes?
No, I have nothing outstanding.
Okay,
Yeah, but that was a bad one in the backyard.
okay.
That was a big section. And maybe like a month ago, we fixed one on, in the manor somewhere. I forget the exact street. But yeah, we're on top of
Okay.
those. We don't really have anything outstanding.
Okay.
Anything that is, we would take care of pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's my questions.
Any other questions for Mr. Smith?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up will be our building department, Mr. McCarthy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I did this one.
Good evening. This is the monthly report for the month of October from the building department. If you look at our memo there, under permit activity, we issued 117 permits in the month. Also, 57 certificates of occupancy were issued, 3 updated COs, and then 6 property record searches were conducted. Under finance, that activity brought in $86,280. Our expenditures, we spent just over $742 for the month. Under the zoning board.
Excluding, sorry, I have to jump in there. The staff in the building department does get paid,
It
so
says it excludes.
excluding, but the general public would be wondering how we managed to do all of this on $700 a month.
So at the zoning board, they actually met on October 20th, and they approved one variance that included an exterior stair and also a height variance for a front yard. However, November, the meeting was canceled, and so now the next meeting is actually on December 15th, and we do have an agenda for that meeting. Of particular note will be a variance request for a new house that the planning board referred to the zoning board for the construction of a 2-family house on Clinton Street. That needs a couple variances. As far as the planning board goes, they met on October 21st, and then again on November 18th. And at that meeting, they actually approved the amended site plan for the Edge on Hudson Block H building. That's the building that will be sort of at the bottom of Beekman Avenue, that's adjacent to Ichabod's Landing. They also held a public hearing for the project at 135 Beekman Avenue, which consists of the demolition of the existing multifamily house and the construction of a 14-unit apartment building. That public hearing will be continued also on December 15th. I'm sorry, December 16th. Zoning is the 15th, planning is the 16th. We actually finished up 2 more hours of continuing education in the month. Topic was construction fire safety. On the development side, down at the Edge on Hudson project, the Phase 3 roads and infrastructure is underway. They're actually constructing the curbs and roadway at the north cul-de-sac that heads out to Kingsland Point Park, and the Hollows Pass Road that runs around Kingsland and loops back to the lighthouse. The first phase of the waterfront open space park is substantially complete at this point in time. They still have some punch list items, and we're waiting for some materials still to come in to finish that up. The Block I apartment complex, which is the 188 units along the railroad. The middle building in that structure is near completion, and we actually did a temporary CO inspection this past week. It went fairly well. They're still working on some punch list things. They're hoping to gain occupancy there hopefully by the end of this month. The
End of,
December.
okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, they got
Sorry.
4
Yeah,
hours.
it's been pushed back quite a bit, this one, so it's, they're looking now for hopefully December to get a TCO ready. The J Block Townhouse development, we actually have issued 66 of the 72 units are in some phase of construction at this point. There's 21 COs have been issued there. We just approved another foundation last week, and we actually have 18 units that are currently in the framing phase. We have 10 units that are in the finished work right now. And we actually have, I think, 2 tentative CO inspections for next week. On the E Block development, which is the first condominium complex, which is the 3 buildings sort of in the middle of the site right now. The first building there, which is 17 units, again, they're right at the TCO stage right now. We'll probably have an inspection down there within the next week or 2. And then the last one is the 2 Maxwell Drive, the 246 apartments. You can start to see the brickwork and the finished facade is going up. A little bit delayed because of the weather, but they're still moving pretty quick on that. On the inside of that building, one finger of that building, we call it the 1,000 building. Several of the apartments are actually in the finishing stage right now. Tentative occupancy for that building now is probably pushing more February, March. And then under code enforcement, we had 14 complaints that were filed. There were 7 violations issued and 2 appearance tickets. On October 28th, we had building court. There were 6 cases on that calendar. 4 were resolved. Next court day is December 9th, and I think right now there's about 10 cases on that calendar. In that package that I gave you there, there's a chart with our permit activity and a breakdown of the expenses for that. The first fold-out is our bar chart of the revenue, and it encompasses the 4 years comparison. The next pull-out is our expenses, and we have the agenda for the different boards. We also included an update on the planning board record for their applications. I think we're up to about 20-something applications this past year, and it goes through the documentation of where those projects are out. And then there's a couple of photographs in there of some of the work that's ongoing down the river. The first one there is a look at the Heinz building from the north, looking at the building on the corner of Horseman and Maxwell. The next photograph is one of the courtyard area of the Block J townhouses. And then the last one is actually a shot looking down Legend Drive, looking north to where they're starting to build the roundabout. And then the last fold-out is actually a fold-out that just has to do with the Edge on Hudson development. And it's just a breakdown of where we are with the different phases of the construction, the number of units that have been approved to date, and sort of. We didn't update that yet for the last planning board meeting, so there's some red lines in there that say pending, so we'll update that for you for next month too. And that's about it.
Well, it's a good thing we pay you guys. Questions? I know everybody thinks they don't make enough, but a thorough report, thank you. A lot going on, obviously, in addition to what's happening down by the river. Questions for Mr. McCarthy?
Can you just update us what's going on with the 2 restaurants at the top of the hill?
Well,
usual.
There's improvement.
It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Finally.
improvement at the top of Beacon Avenue, as far as enclosing that building, and they're actually putting the scratch coat and stucco on there now, trying to get it fully watertight. So that's actually progressing a lot in the past month, finally. So once they get that done, it'll start to even move quicker. Across the street at the former diner, they're really working up in the back on some of the site work. One of the big holdups with that building was, years ago, it used to be a gas station, a service station, and not really built very well. So all the water that was coming from the top of the hill drained down into the building, and really was a result of destroying that building. So it's all been excavated in the back, fully waterproof, drainage piping has all been installed, and it's all tied in now to the infrastructure, the drainage infrastructure. So again, you don't see a lot of that, but that's what's taken a lot of time. I think in the past month also, big improvement was the installation of 2 new water lines, one dedicated solely for the sprinkler system, and then the second one for new domestic service. So that chopping the street, and tie-ins, and it's moving.
Great.
If anyone's interested in seeing the inside of those buildings and up close look, let me know. We can bring it
I'm interested in seeing the inside of those buildings as a customer.
Yeah, me
I have one question on, there's a change of use for the Taxi Realty. Do you know what they're looking to change that to?
That's actually the corporation name, and that was for a building on Clinton Street
Yep.
that converted from a laundromat to three apartments.
3 apartments, yeah. Okay,
So that went through planning board, zoning,
nice.
and we received approval for that.
Okay. And then also just a curiosity with the Sleepy Hollow Associates, that's a change of use?
Yes, that's actually the space above the bank.
That is the space above the bank?
Yes, and so that converted from office space to also to residential.
So why is it showing that wasn't the building permit issued a little while back ago?
Yeah, the building permit
Is
was
that why
issued.
it's saying the 2020
Yeah, well, that was
when it first?
when it first started, yes.
Okay,
And so they've received all their approvals. They
okay,
finally got their permits all in, and they actually started work out there. A lot of the demolition work is already underway. Actually, today, the plumber and I think the mechanical contractors were both filing their permits.
okay.
They're getting ready to build out the first 8 units of that building.
And when are they gonna start working on the parking lot?
At this point, probably not until the spring.
Okay,
And that parking lot gets redone in the back. Yeah.
right, right, which means there'll be less parking too for
Correct.
residents, so that's where the whole shift is gonna take place. Okay, we'll have to probably have a work session on that. But
Any
thank you.
additional questions for Mr. McCarthy?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to public comments. If you would like to address the board, you may do so now. Please be reminded of 2 things. One, you can address any subject you so choose. Just keep it civil. And you will be limited to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the board? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, and yes, madams.
Good evening, Mr.
Move
Mayor and the Board of
For,
Trustees.
close, okay, right
We're
there.
actually vaccinated.
Right. Get out of the green room and onto the stage, right there, yeah, thank you.
This is Sue Klein, Marty McGinty, and I'm Terry McGlynn. We're the directors of the Lighthouse Swim, which, we started a charity swim back in September. We raised funds for Feeding Westchester. But throughout the course of the event, we realized we couldn't have done the event without the help of our village fire department and police department. So we withheld some funds which we'd like to give to those 2 departments in thanks for all that they did, because again, They were so crucial to having a successful, safe event. So with that in mind, we'd like to present $250 each to both the fire department and the police department for their use, and thanks.
Well, we have a representative of the police department who I think would probably hand that to the PBA. And unless somebody from downstairs who's listening right now can run upstairs. Terry, wait. We like to acknowledge this with a photo. So what I'm going to do is ask all of you and the chief to please come down front, and we will all join you. We'll take a shot.
Okay.
And I know these movies are fascinating. Just tell us, and we usually do this like right at the front.
Okay. It was fascinating.
Thank you. Please. This is our newest, most important member of the board.
And this is our logo.
Yeah, that's Chief, we're chief over here. Come on, pretend we like each other.
Okay, great.
Denise.
Okay, ready? Over here. Thank you.
Once again, thank you.
Yes,
very
thank you
much.
very much. That's great. Thank you.
The fire department check too.
Give it to Mrs. Giacchio, and
I'll make sure they get.
Thanks, Bob.
they will make sure that they get it.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
I'll get it to you.
And I just wanted to say to all three of you, thanks again for doing that, and we hope we see you next year.
We're working on it, yes.
That's good news. Anybody else would anybody else would like to address the board?
Anybody else want to check?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a hard act to follow. I'm sorry I don't have anything to give. I have a request that some steps be taken to make these meetings and the meeting of the planning board easier for people to access. And that involves allowing people, setting up the mechanism so that people can make their comments from home. I know you had a hybrid meeting for a while, and it's pretty awful in some ways, but there is technology that could improve it. The Writers Center is now holding hybrid meetings. The League of Women Voters, when they did their candidates forum, had hybrid opportunities. And it really, the example of one session a few weeks ago, when you were all standing around this table for 20 minutes, hearing about the concept plan for the new DPW site, and nobody could see anything except the people standing around the table, whether you were sitting out here or watching at home as I was. There was no way to see that. So is it possible to get things like that up on the screen so that everybody can see them? Is it possible for the reports of the heads of the departments to be made available to the public? You get copies of them when the reports are being made. I have a lot of trouble hearing the reports when I'm in here. I sometimes go home and watch it on my on the video because I haven't been able to hear it here. It's, I do my best to keep up with everything and understand what's going on, and contribute, I hope, useful comments. But the, and the one other thing is the lack of any Spanish translation. I know there's technology where if you're watching at home, you can see the text written without a person. The League of Women Voters used that. They're get it going further, their headphones and so forth, and obviously you're not going to make a huge investment initially because it would take a while for people to begin to use it. But I think it's really important that more be done to allow people whose primary language is Spanish to participate. At the planning board meeting, a public hearing the other day, there was a woman whose son came hobbling in on crutches to translate for her. And that should not be the case. There is technology that would make it possible for people to speak in Spanish and have it translated for you without her son having to come in and translate for her. And I know there's, if you ask within 24 hours, before 24 hours before a meeting, a translator will be provided. But I really think in this village, where the majority of the residents are, their first language is Spanish, that we really need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to address the board? Yes.
Yes. Well, first I'd like to add my voice to the request for more linguistic access.
Sorry, can you just state your name?
Yes, sorry. Hi, Shannon Pitts. I live at 18 Fremont Road. Second thing, when there are updates to the code like there were tonight at the public hearing, I would like to request that there also be a link to the current code that's being updated so that it's easier to compare them, because I just moved here. I don't know how to navigate all of that yet. But it would be very helpful to see both the new code and the code that it's replacing when we have these announcements. And the third thing, completely unrelated to that, is there a reason that there is not a set of footpaths between the Sleepy Hollow Manor, Phillips Manor, and the athletic field that's between them? Right now, as far as I can tell, the only way to get to that field on foot from either of the manors is to walk on Broadway, which is a death wish. And I didn't know if we have a good reason that we don't have those yet, and if we don't have a good reason, I would love to suggest that. I think that would be great. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? And I'll just reminder that at the end of our meeting, we have another public comment period. If not, then we'll move on to resolutions. We have several this evening. And I just wanted to get a sense from the board. We'd had a request from the Margata House folks to do their fundraiser this year, which involves swimming in the Hudson in February, or at least getting wet. I don't know if people actually swim. That has been pretty successful, and we can hold off and discuss that in a work session. I know it's gone pretty well in the past, but anybody, your sense you want to wait and talk about that some more, or just, okay, we'll add approval as a ninth resolution. Chief, we haven't had any issues with that in the past, correct? And Mr. Giacchio? Okay.
And I think you reached out to the fire department and ambulance services if they're available.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, generally we like to encourage those kinds of efforts, like we heard earlier this evening. Okay.
The senior class of 2022 at the high school is probably going to be doing one as well. We're just waiting on a date as well, and I know it's not going to conflict with that, so
Okay.
Just give you a heads up, there'll be another request.
And you know this because,
Yeah, as president of the city.
following in the footsteps, yes. All right, we'll start with our resolutions.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizing mayor to sign IMA agreement with the County of Westchester for the summer program. Whereas the County of Westchester offers a program to local municipalities to assist in providing a positive youth development program entitled Summer Program. And whereas the Board of Trustees desires to support this program, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute the attached IMA agreement with the County of Westchester. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Next one, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizing mayor to sign IMA agreement with the County of Westchester for summer youth employment program. Is it the same one or is it
Different
No,
one.
it's different.
Is it the second one? Okay.
Second.
Whereas the County of Westchester offers a program to local municipalities to assist in providing a positive youth development program entitled Summer Youth Employment, and whereas the Board of Trustees desires to support this program, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute the attached IMA agreement with the County of Westchester. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizing mayor to sign IMA agreement with the County of Westchester and to enforce DWI prosecution. Whereas the County of Westchester offers a program to local municipalities to assist in enforcing the law pertaining to driving while intoxicated and related charges, where the county reimburses the local municipalities for its participation. And whereas the Board of Trustees desires to support the enforcement of these laws and encourages the apprehension and prosecution of all violators. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute the attached IMA agreement with the County of Westchester. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow approving Oktoberfest contract for 2022. Whereas the Board of Trustees is desirous of sponsoring Oktoberfest 2022 on, and do we have a date?
The last Saturday in September
September
of
24th.
2022.
September 24th.
September 24th, 2022. And whereas several bands have been solicited for the purpose of performing at the event, and whereas John Stevens Polka Band, whom has performed in previous years, has been recommended by the village administrator to perform at the event, and now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to execute the attached contract hiring John Stevens Polka Band to perform at Oktoberfest, for the contract price of $1,900. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution is approved.
Resolution of the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizing change order for the Beekman Avenue Sidewalk Project. Whereas the Village of Sleepy Hollow has entered into a construction contract with Tony Casali Incorporated for the Beekman Avenue Sidewalk Project, and whereas the construction contract for this work now requires approval of a change order to install decorative metal tree grates around each street tree, and whereas WSP Engineering, the village's consulting engineer for this project, has recommended that this change order be approved, and whereas the cost of this change order totals $64,635, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees herein authorizes the administrator to execute the attached change order for the Beekman Avenue Sidewalk Project, and be it further resolved that the village treasurer We'll adjust the project budget to reflect an increase of $64,635. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? The resolution's approved.
So Clinton, for this residency requirements resolution, am I just reading the title?
You would, I would preface it with motion to adopt a local law,
Okay.
etc.
Motion to adopt a local law amending Chapter 87 in the Code of the Village of Sleepy Hollow entitled Residency Requirements by deleting the same in full and adopting a replacement which expands the residency requirements of appointed village officers throughout the state of New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Question.
Interesting.
What defines village officers? I know it doesn't include, mayor and trustees and justice, right? That would still have a residency requirement. But what about appointed folks like planning board members or zoning board members?
No, I believe they're defined in the village law, and I believe it would be the clerk, and I'm not sure who else.
Treasurer.
Treasurer.
Okay,
Me, and
Administrative.
building, and the building
Who's
inspector.
appointed?
thanks.
Chief?
Got it. Thanks.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Did we have a second?
No.
Yeah, I seconded.
Yes, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any additional discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Resolution's approved.
Resolution directing the village clerk to request a certified copy of a civil service list. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow hereby directs the village clerk to request a certified copy of the civil service list for the position of Assistant Building Inspector from the Westchester County Department of Human Resources. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? The resolution's approved.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow approving the action of the Board of Fire Wardens. Whereas the Board of Fire Wardens of the Sleepy Hollow Fire Department at a recent meeting accepted 2 new members for active membership as follows. The memo is as, Dear Mayor and the Board of Trustees, this letter is to inform you of the actions taken by the Board of Fire Wardens on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. At their monthly meeting on 11/2/21, Pocanico Hook and Ladders, 1 accepted Michael Potter, 34 Hudson Street, Sleepy Hollow, New York, to active membership. At their second monthly meeting on 11/2/21, Pocanico Hook and Ladder, Company 1 switched Christopher E. Lowry, 95 Beekman Avenue, Sleepy Hollow, to active membership. Respectfully submitted, Stephen Ben Cosby, Secretary, Board of Fire Wardens. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution is approved, and we welcome Michael Potter and Christopher Lowry to active membership, and we thank them for their volunteer work with the village.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizing the attached journal entry budget transfer. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow authorizes the village treasurer to complete the attached journal entry budget transfer. Mr. Smith, do I have to read all this?
You can simply state that the general fund, the amount of the general fund balance to be transferred is $1,063,532. And it will go to Police Department, Ambulance Corps, Fire Department, General Administration, Parks and Rec, and DPW, and various amounts.
As stated by council. So moved.
It will go to capital projects in those.
Right.
in those-
Capital projects in various amounts.
Right, this is not an operating budget change. This is a capital budget change. So moved,
Seconded.
seconded, additional discussion. Those of you who were watching our capital budget discussions and our final adoption of a capital budget will recall that we decided to fund many of the capital requests through our fund balance, meaning money that we already had in the bank, in our operating account, and we didn't have to borrow money as one normally would for capital projects. So we were using funds that we already had, and that's what this $1 million is for. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? And the resolution is approved. Transfer is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for setting that up. We've got two more. Do we have the demapping?
Did you get it?
No.
I see it.
This would be here, just hand it to me, I'll hand it down. Or please hand it to me and I shall pass it along.
I'll read the resolution.
Go for it.
All right, resolution calling public hearing on a resolution to relinquish a portion of Ridge Street. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow that a public hearing will be held at 7 p.m. or as soon as such hearing may be called thereafter on
The 14th.
14th day of December 2021 at the Sleepy Hollow Village Hall, 28 Beekman Avenue, Sleepy Hollow, New York, 10591. On the proposed resolution entitled, Resolution Relinquishing Any Right to Accept a Portion of Ridge Street for Dedication. And be it further resolved that the portion of Ridge Street to which the village seeks to relinquish is a roughly 3,750 square foot rectangle that is perpendicular to Ridge Street, parallel to Gory Brook Road, and the entrance of 120 Gory Brook Road. And be it further resolved that the village clerk shall give due notice of this public hearing in accordance with the village code and the provisions of village law, section 6-614, Railroad Law, Section 90, and the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Resolution is approved and we'll have the public hearing in 2 weeks. Our last resolution would be one approving the use of the bathhouse in Kingsland Point Park on Saturday, February 12th, from noon to 3:30 to the Gulata House folks for a fundraiser entitled the Headless Horseman Charity Plunge. Well, entitled the 5th Annual Headless Horseman Charity Plunge. And will include the use of the beach immediately adjacent to the bathhouse. And the bathhouse would be provided at no charge. So, good enough, council?
Yes, sir. Good to me.
Okay.
Motion to,
So moved?
so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor passing the resolution, not actually joining in on the plunge, but say aye. Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Resolution is approved. Mr. Giacchio, if you could let Mr. Gulata know. And we wish him and participants best of luck. All right, we'll move on to old business or new business. Does anybody have any old business or new business that they would like to raise at this time?
I have one, just based on coming out of the public comment. I just want to give an update, if I may. Just want to inform the board and anybody that's also listening with an interest on the Spanish translation. That's something that I've took it upon myself to work with Paula to do some research with other municipalities to see what they've been doing. Certainly since this had come out of a community meeting as well, as to what other things could we do. So really I thought the first thing we ought to do is some of our research. So we've reached out and we're going to collect that data and share it with everybody. In addition to that, to see what technology we can harness in addition to what we're already using through our website. So really it'd just be presenting, certain proposals and what other municipalities are doing and educating ourselves a little bit more thoroughly so that we can make some informed decisions. And I just want to let you know that that's already been on the way for quite some time. And now that Halloween is past us, we have an opportunity to do so. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other old business, new business?
So I just wanted to also update everybody on, we've been talking over, I think, the past couple of years about lighting the trees on Beekman Avenue. And Jared and I met with Anthony and Kevin about doing a kind of pilot section of the trees. And so we, I think we've purchased, Sarah, is it on the way? So we've purchased some lights. Instead of trying to string the whole tree with the branches and doing all of that, we've actually purchased string lights that are more like lanterns that will be up in the body of the tree. And we're gonna pilot that from Cortland to Kendall. There's like 9 trees there, I think. And everybody will get a chance to take a look at it and then potentially push that up Beekman.
Cool.
Is there any consideration for, and I'm just thinking out loud, we have Beekman during the holidays pretty well lit with all the snowflakes and the trees. Is there any consideration for doing any of Route 9? Any of the businesses on the hill or up by the school, like, Tarrytown does both, not that we always do what Tarrytown does, but it just, it seems like an area that's highly traveled that doesn't get the same attention as.
I think it's definitely something to think about. The lights that we're putting on the trees in that one section for right now are meant to be year-round. So they'll continue, if we all like how they look, we'll continue them up Beekman and we'll just keep them up year-round. It's a really nice way to create kind of a welcoming atmosphere on Beekman. But I think that doing more holiday lights along Route 9 is a great idea.
So these will be year-round in the sense that the lights on the parklet, the lights that are on Valley Street are intended to be year-round.
Exactly.
Cool. Look forward to seeing them. Again, I'm sorry, they're likely to be up next week.
They're supposed to come in the middle, maybe in a couple weeks. Yeah. And then we'll work with the DPW and probably an electrician to actually put them in the trees.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully soon after that.
Supply chains being what they are these days. Any other new or old business?
We received a proposal from a civil engineer to look at the intersection of Beekman and Cortland, considering we've decided to delay the installation of sidewalks, the new sidewalk replacement at the parklet. And included in that proposal is also taking a look at the raised sidewalk at Hudson and Beekman as well. And so Anthony has that proposal, and maybe we can get it on a workshop to think about it.
Okay. Look forward to seeing that. Anything else? Ms. McCarthy-Tompkins, any communications?
Yes, I have several communications and a few announcements. Got a communication from Michael and Rhonda Fernandez of Anderson Avenue, which I believe I sent to you. It's regarding Anderson Avenue and a stop sign, Anderson and Gordon. No, Crane Avenue. I'll send it to you again.
Stop sign request.
Stop sign
Okay.
request. I'll send it to you again. I think I sent it, but I'm not sure. It came in after the last meeting.
I don't recall it, so please.
Okay, sure. We also got an email from former trustee John Levy regarding the demapping of Baker Streets.
In which he urges us to
Yes.
continue to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got a parking concerns from Rachel Riker, which you're going to discuss and follow up,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so that's that. Just wanted to remind everyone about the tree lighting this coming Friday. It's gonna take place here at Village Hall, starting at 6 p.m. And there's also cookies and milk with Santa, pictures, and horse-drawn wagon rides. There's also face painting and pictures with Santa and a snow globe. This is all Matt. I don't know what he's doing with the snow globe.
So Santa is in a snow globe and you get a
Yeah,
picture
right.
taken holding the snow globe?
I guess, I don't know. It
Wow.
says pictures with Santa in a snow globe.
You could go in the thing. It's a
Really?
big bubble. I think that's
I
what
have
I'm
no
thinking.
idea. Come and find out.
Honey, I shrunk the Santa? Right.
This is the, it's the tree lighting ceremony.
This is our event, the holiday.
It's
It
right
goes
out
to
here.
Chamber on the 4th.
On the 4th, okay.
It's-
That's
Two
good.
separate events, okay.
And then for the little ones at home, there's a Santa mailbox that will be set up at the Sleepy Hollow Post Office starting tomorrow through December 20th. So you can write a letter to Santa and bring it over to the post office, and Santa will respond by Christmas time. And then the holiday toy drive that the Sleepy Hollow PBA is doing along with the Briar Cliff and Tarrytown PBA. Bring a new unwrapped toy for kids of all ages by December 20th. They're also accepting monetary donations. And this will be, I believe they're doing this on December 21st, I'm not sure yet.
What Ms. McCarthy-Tompkins is
Yes.
trying to say is if you can't figure out what kind of a toy you want to buy and drop off as a gift for some kid, PBA will be glad to accept your cash, and they'll go buy an appropriate gift for a kid.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
whatever you show up with in the way of money will be spent
We'll take
on
it.
something for a kid. So
Yes.
dig deep and show up,
That'd be great.
please.
So I have a question, Chief. So for the older kids, I know, maybe not with the PBA, but other organizations, they have accepted gift cards. Is that something that the PBA would accept, do you know, or would?
They'll accept that, I'm sure.
Yeah, look at the-
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take it.
Okay.
So, 2 weeks ago, I attended an event that People Helping People New York put together, and they gave the village a thank you plaque. As you recall, last year, during the pandemic, Jay Sampaio, he's the founder of People Helping People New York, helped us immensely to deliver food to many people that were home and couldn't get to the store, that were sick. And he also did a lot of shopping of his own, food, toys, clothes. And I think you recall he used our kitchen at the senior center a few times to cook Thanksgiving meals, and 2 or 3 times he used it, and he's just very thankful. So this is for the board from Jason Pio of People Helping People New York, as a thank you for your support. I think that's it. Wait, one more thing. The mobile shredder is coming December 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They'll be in the parking lot across the street from Village Hall.
What date again?
December 11th, Saturday,
Great,
mobile shredder.
okay.
It's a very well-attended event.
Bigger than Halloween.
It's huge.
What about the passport that you have?
Yeah, the Passport mobile unit was here the Friday before last, and that was also, they couldn't come on a Saturday as they usually do, but it was also very well attended for a period of about 4.5 hours.
I can
So
see
that was
that now that a lot of the administration offices are closed.
Well, they didn't do any of the mobile offices last year, so they're just kind of starting back.
I can see.
So that's it, I'm done.
Okay. Well, I'm happy there's a celebration happening on the 3rd, so
Yes.
happy anniversary. Lynn,
When?
she will understand.
Okay. Okay. I
And
thought
if you think
forgot
about
my
it long
name for a
enough, you'll
minute.
figure it out too, but. We'll move on now to public comments. Would anyone like to address the board? You're the lonesome out there, so if you say no, then I
I'll
will,
let you go tonight, I'll save it for the next one.
I will, thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. I almost said it.
Aye.
Aye.
I think we're done.
Opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor.